Good morning. This is KMC Homes, and we are reviewing the blueprints for the building out of the Vault LLC new auto garage. These prints were done by James Deschatels Architect, and the engineering was done by SJB Group LLC. The project is taking place in the city of Baton Rouge off of Sherwood Forest Drive here and off of Stan here. And the particular spot would be at this location right here. And so we're going to be on the back end of this site putting up a garage. So all of this space in the back here is what we're going to use for building a garage. Currently, this office here, that office building right here, is the office of Vault LLC, which is Archie Jones, Genesis, what is it? Not Genesis, but Gemini Holdings. So anyway, we're going to be, this project is to take place back here, okay? These are the general notes. Item 14 is always a very particular item on blueprints. That item says that written words take precedence over drawn lines. No deviation from the drawings or specifications or intent of same shall be made without the architect's written authorization. Those are the general notes. And as usual, blueprints will give you the table of contents. This is the pages of this particular set of blueprints. Cover sheet, the site plan, the floor plan, roof plan schedules, the enlarged restroom plan. Now, these things can change according to what the architect is drawing. The foundation plan, but some of these items are very critical in a set of plans. This site plan is critical, floor plan. This foundation plan, that's always a very good thing to have. The elevations gives you a visual of what the building is supposed to look like standing up as you're facing it. The electrical lighting plan, always necessary. The plumbing, so you see where the water is supposed to go to and come from. Existing conditions and demolition plan. You have a geometric layout, drainage and grading layout, utility layout, erosion control, and a detail sheet. Now, these sections that are C sections here, these are the sections that are going to be on the civil engineers page, okay? So we don't have those pages here, but we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We will have these first 8 pages, okay, in this particular set of plans here from Deschâtel. But we will have to go back and get the civil engineering page. Also important here is this legend, because these items mean something on the blueprint. Because you will see these various items, these various tick marks throughout the blueprint. And you will need to understand what they reference. Okay, the wall type. So you'll see a marking like this that'll tell you the wall type, where they actually describe what that wall is supposed to be, actually down to what material is supposed to be used on the wall, what type of gypsum board, how it's going to be finished, and so forth. The door type, the window type, sections of the building, the wall section, a detailed number, the building elevation. And this is also important because buildings tend to have certain elevations, and then at times there may even be different elevations within the building. But the building elevation, interior elevation, the elevation mark, that's also a key item. Room name, number, the column line, center line, revision tag. These are reference numbers, and the photo tags. Structural dimension. This tells you how long and how wide and how tall something needs to be. And then these are, I would call these shorthand notes, but these are also important notes used in this. For instance, this particular one here, on center. So you'll see throughout blueprints, it'll say something like 16 OC, 16 inches OC, and that means 16 inches on center. The distance between the middle of one stud to the middle of the next stud, 16 inches on center. Not the scale. That's necessary to realize so that when you're looking at something and it has NTS next to it, you'll understand, hey, this is not the actual size that this is going to be. This is not to scale. Okay. Something else right here, UNO, unless otherwise noted. Okay, and up here you'll see it as unless noted otherwise. That's interesting because there are some things in here that may be set up, maybe boilerplate. Sometimes architects tend to overlay new plans on top of old writing, or at least old descriptions, and some of these things are really boilerplate types of things. So unless it's otherwise noted, go with what you're seeing, because as they say over here in number 14, written words take precedence over drawn lines. Okay? And this is the first page of the James Deschâtel's Architects plans for Vault LLC New Auto Garage. You will see here the architect stamp, let you know that he's a registered architect. The date of this page's revisions, 11/28/23. Here, they show you the scale. So in other words, what you're seeing in here is every 1/4 inch is equal to 1 foot. And that's important to also note, because that's how you're able to tell, the design of stuff. So we're going to go into the second page here, and we may wind up shooting this as a separate piece of the same project. Maybe we'll get ourselves a good 15 or 20 minute video out of this. Anyway, this will show that we're on page A11. Okay. The scale is as indicated, which was on the previous page, 1 1/4 equals 1 inch, unless they're giving you differences in the scales. The scale of the parking sign design, 3/4 of an inch is equal to 1 foot. Okay? So let's go over here and look at this. This page is called the site plan details. So now what we have here on the site plan details, I'll give you a quick overshot of it. So you can see, here's that existing building, that parking garage, a parking lot there. And as you see that this lot takes sort of an L type of shape. Okay, and so you will remember when we were looking at this front page here, I'll just show you. Let me see if I can slide that in for you right quick. But as you're looking at how the lot lays out here, you can remember that we were looking at the same thing. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. We're looking at the same thing here. Okay. This building here, this building right here is that. This lot goes up, across, comes down, turns, comes back down this way. Sort of forms a L. Same thing here. Goes up, turns, comes back down, goes across, comes back down. Okay, it'll indicate where we're located. Matter of fact, what he'll do is he'll even put on there the latitude, longitude spots, so you'll see exactly. And this is surveyor information, so you know exactly, here is where we are on this earth. Okay, so nothing else is at this particular spot on the earth other than this. South 00 degrees, 24 feet, 28 inches west. Nothing else is at that spot inside of these dimensions that's indicated here, these longitude and latitudinal signs here. Nothing else is there but this. Anyway, this is the first page. Okay, so here's the lot. So what we're looking at here is now, of course, what we have, the work that we're looking at is going to be all of this back section would be across here and up that way. That's undeveloped currently. Okay, and so what you'll see here is this is that existing parking lot as it exists right now. That's why it says existing parking. You're going to have an opening here where you're crossing over into this new concrete parking lot. And of course, along to form out this opening, you're going to have a little grassy area here, some grassiness over here on this side. Okay? And that's necessary to note because these are parts, the process that I'm doing for this owner is I'm estimating what his cost will be. So I need to make sure that I understand, okay, well, this grassy area right here, that needs to be accounted for in the cost, okay? So we're gonna have an 18-foot 6-inch opening here to allow vehicles to come through. Now look, you'll notice, it even gives you the distance on where that opening is supposed to take place. From 20 feet, this opening here is 20 feet exactly from the westmost property line. Then it's an 18-foot opening, 18-foot 6-inch opening, and then 49 feet and 2 inches on the east side is going to just be grass, okay, right in this little area here. You'll see it right in this area here, okay? Then what they'll do is they'll even go so far as to describe, and look, along the blueprints here, we got all these descriptive marks, you know, so you'll be able to understand and read exactly what you're doing. Okay, so for instance, they have, once you get into this concrete parking lot, you're going to have parking spots. Okay, and look, they describe wheel stop. That's the wheel stop. So that thing that you hit when you're pulling up in a parking spot, it's called a wheel stop. And he even goes so far as to say typical. So it's the typical wheel stop. Okay, and look here. You see this note? This note that says 2 feet 6 inches. So it's telling you how far from the grass back here up to the front of the wheel stop. Okay, that is 2 feet and 6 inches. This stuff is all precise and measured. Now, notice now this grass may not necessarily be. There may be a drop from the edge of this concrete here into that grass area. See, from the edge of this concrete into that grass area, there could be a drop there. Okay, so you want to pay particular attention to making sure that these wheel stops are in the right spot. You want to make sure that they're far enough back off the edge of the property line that the front of your car ain't sticking over into someone else's property, because that too could be, when you look at these blueprints, you might see this as being the only world that is out there, but you got to realize there's something right here. There's another building right here. There's someone else's property right here. There's someone else's property right here. Okay, but since all we're focusing on is the work we're doing, that's why this is all that's showing up. So you have, it's giving you the opening here into that new parking lot, all right? And then it gives you all of the parking spots in there. And it'll detail that each of these parking spots, 9 foot 0 inches. So they're exactly 9 feet wide. So you got 1, 2, 3, and then back here where you have the handicap spot, this particular one is 14 feet wide. Okay, now you have to assume that there's some reason for this one being 14 feet wide, and apparently there's a standard for what size these types of parking spots need to be for the handicap parking. Okay, including this striped area here. Okay, because as you can see, if you look closely, see this dot to that dot is the width of this handicap parking spot. Okay, so you can tell folks, hey, handicap parking spots are typically about 14 feet wide. Okay, that's very wide, 14 feet wide. Now, so as we come back and we're looking at this, we'll notice some things. So they give you the measurement of how wide this grassy knoll space needs to be. Come back over here and we see that it is 3 feet and 11 inches. So you almost got a 4 foot width of grass right here. It's 3 feet 11 inches. And then it's telling you here that these 1, 2, 3 parking spots here, that area is 28 feet exact, which is actually pretty accurate, okay, for 9 foot parking spaces. 9 times 3 is 27. This one over here is 28 feet. So this is 28 feet long across here to cover these parking spaces. Okay. Then it tells you that on this back space here, you got 9 feet. This 9 feet here shows that it's open to the back of this space we're going to build in there for the dumpster. You've seen these before. So here's a dumpster cage where the garbage company will come in and pick up a dumpster out of there. Okay, and so it's even describing what we have here. So you got a 8-foot privacy fence. So that line goes all the way across to touch this box here. So here's a box that's going to be an 8-foot privacy fence. And these lines and those lines show you where the doors are going to be and which way the doors should swing when they're open. So this thing is going to have doors that swing out so that a dumpster can roll through here and get into that spot. And that's a bit of the reason why this is 18 feet and 6 inches. Also note, since they have the dumpster sitting right here, that means that a garbage truck will come through there. What do you think about when you hear that? This concrete in this area, it needs to be reinforced, okay, in order to accommodate a heavy garbage truck coming through there to pick up this dumpster. Okay, so this concrete in this area is going to need to have some very good attention paid to its thickness, its durability, its ability to handle the weight of a garbage dumpster. Okay, and so what we will do is we will measure this space. Now what I'm going to do is this. Up to this line right here, everything is in place up to here. From the front of the lot all the way up to here, all this stuff is in place. So my measurement of stuff is going to start from this spot going back up here, okay? And so we're going to be doing a slab. Now, I see that the designs of this slab, you know, you got these cuts in here and so forth. If I were to price out doing this slab, what I would do is I would do this. Here's the best way to do it. Just draw a line across here, come up here, and go to the back end of the building, which is up here, and I'd go back across that way and come back down. You know, when we were doing real estate appraising, one of the best, easiest things to do is turn everything into squares or rectangles. So the first thing I would do is draw a line across here, come up here to this first break, go across. Boom. Make this a rectangle. Then I would take this square, and that's how I would estimate what is the amount of concrete that needs to be there. Now, there are things I got to take into consideration. So as I'm looking at this for doing concrete, you know, this looks like just some flat area. You see, but I got to take into consideration this information here. What does that say? It says 6-inch diameter. Now, this is for the bollards, which is out in front of the door. But as you will notice, okay, these things are deep into the ground. What are the bollards? You know what bollards are. These are bollards right here. These things that are sitting out in front of the door. And you've seen these when you go into parking spots and they have those big yellow markers, containers around the solid cement. See, the bollard is this yellow piece out here and the pipe inside so that you don't run into that spot. It'll hurt you, okay? Cast in place concrete paving as per. Okay, so what you have is, and look at the depth. This is showing you how much concrete you got in this place, because this is all concrete with those markings that look like that. That's concrete. And then this out here is just the natural grass. That's how the natural grass and the natural sediment looks like on a set of blueprints. Okay, so according to this, I'm going 4 feet 6 inches into the ground, 4 feet deep into the ground, just to set this 6-inch diameter bollard. That's the bollard, galvanized and painted, set in concrete. Okay, and so this is telling me how deep this needs to be. 4 feet 6 inches. That's a lot of digging. Okay, and then 3 feet of it needs to be above. So this is a 10-foot pole. Matter of fact, this is, yeah, about an 11-foot pole that you're putting in the ground. This thing is stable. Okay, but the other point is that though it might look like flat cement here, what I got to realize is that, for instance, along these walls here, you will see in the blueprints later, there are trenches. Okay, there are trench lines along these walls that you fill with cement. Okay, so I would dig, you got to dig a trench all along this line, dig a trench down this line, trench across that. Everywhere you see a wall, there's a trench line. So there's a trench that's going to come across here. And then there's a trench that goes underneath each one of these walls. Okay, this is a wall, that's a wall, that's a wall, this is a wall, this is a wall, this is a wall. So when you're designing this from the beginning, you want to make sure that you draw this out or you accommodate for the trench that's going underneath here and the trench that's going on, because these things form what they call footings, because typically, okay, in building design, these walls, they carry pressure, they carry weight. Typically, walls support the roof of the building. Okay, we're gonna digress for just a second, just to get you up to speed a little bit. I just want you to see this. Just want you to see this right quick. So here's what the architect says how this building is supposed to look. Okay, this is how that building is supposed to look. This would be the front view. Yeah, that's the front of the building. And when I was talking about the bollards, these are the bollards. These are the things that you'll see out in front of buildings like these. Okay. Here's another view of the front of that building. Okay. Here's a side view of the same building. This right here is the side view. This is the back of that same building, and this is the other side. Okay, so you'll want to, and if you look, you can see detail down the side here. Okay, he has gutters coming down off the wall. Okay, he's got a window fan unit here, exhaust fan unit. Okay, see this spot right here. Then when he comes over to this side of the building where he is describing that, you go up the line. That's the note line. Exhaust fan with wall louver. And he's got this box here. You follow that line. Electrical meter and service location. So this is where the electrical meter will be located. And then you have this door. Now you look, you see this note here, 104.2. Okay, now guess what? When we go back up to this first page that we were looking at, and it described what that note would be. So that is a door type, all right? Because of this particular box here that says door type. So that would tell me I would have to go to the door schedule to find out what is the 104.2 door, okay? And if I were to, just as a side note, right quick, let's say that we look at, where does he have a door schedule on here? Oh, well, look at there. On the blueprint, he has what's called a door schedule. And if you come over here, you'll see, there's the number. You see that 104.2 right here? All right. Next column says OH1, the type. So what type of door is it? The width of that door is 8 feet. It's an 8-foot wide door. The height of that door is 10 feet. It's a 3-foot thick door. I'm sorry, a 3-inch thick door. Okay, that door is made of steel. Okay, and as you look at it, all of the doors on the building are defined. Okay, hollow metal, wood, hollow metal, painted steel. Okay, just as a side note so that you will be able to see that too. Then as we go back up here, you're understanding what we're doing. So I would measure the cement. So I'm gonna break for a second and see if we can measure that. Hold on. We're working our calculator to find the cubic yards of concrete. Okay, what we did was, on this first section, we came across to here, up to this edge. So that gives me 20 feet plus 18 feet plus 49 feet. So that's 49 and 20, that's 69. Okay. And 69 and 18, 69 and 18 is 87. And then we got 6 inches here and 2 inches there. So we upgraded to a full 88 feet. So we got 88 feet across here. And then according to this measurement here, it's 50 feet from right at this spot on the front of it up to the back edge of that same pad. So we multiplied 88 feet times 50, and we gave this an extra foot too, 51 feet. And that gave us something like 4,488 square feet. Okay, this is just the square feet, but we need cubic. Okay, so now, and look, you'll find folks that will just measure the square footage and say, okay, well, this is what the number is, because there's sometimes a standard on the thickness of the concrete. Okay, well, for this spot here, you got some spots that are 4 feet deep. Okay, you have some spots that are 2 feet deep. So the best thing to do is just go 4 feet deep, because we're going to be digging trenches, and it's better to have more than to not, because if you buy more and you don't use it, you can always send it back. Okay, so you got 44 square feet in this, 4,488 square feet in this area, and then you want the thickness of that slab, which will be another 4 feet thick. When you multiply that out, you come up to 17,000. $900 and looks like 52. All right, so we want to cube this. So immediately, you're cubing, you simply divide that number by 27. Okay, that number comes out to be 664. This is going to be cubic yards. Now, I'll tell you something. Okay, so I didn't trust that off the top, okay, because the way that I normally do it, I use a different number that always pops to mind. So what I'll do is I'll do it from the inches. So when I do it that way, I do convert 88 feet to inches. So that's 88 times 12, okay, and that gives me 88 times 12 gives me what, 1056? 1,056. 51 times 12, do 51 times 12, and that gives me what, 612. Now these are inches now. We're not talking about feet. Okay, we're talking about inches. And then we got 4 feet here, so we got 48 inches. So I'll multiply 1,056 inches by 612 inches, and that'll give me 646,272 square inches. And then I'll multiply that times the thickness, which is 48 inches, times 48. And then that'll give me 31,021,056 cubic inches. Well, what I do is, what's always been good for me is, the college I attended, the University of Notre Dame, the zip code there is 64556. Okay, and I use that number to divide. That's how I always remember it now. I divide by the zip code for the University of Notre Dame. So I will divide that number by 64556, and I come up to, I said that number wrong. I'm saying the number wrong. 46556 is what it is. Divided by 46556, and what do I come up with? Come up with 666 square feet or cubic yards this way. Okay? So we'll call it 665 cubic yards in this space right here. Okay? And then we'll do the same for the back spot. Hold on. Okay, so on the back of the lot, we're going to use this slab. There's a slab under this building, and according to here, this is about 50 feet of cement there. So that's 50 feet. But then we got this bit right here, which is a sidewalk, and they're saying the width of that sidewalk is 5 more feet. So we're going to take 50 feet and 55 feet, and that way we'll get us 55 feet by, and then on the outside perimeter here, they're showing me that from the front line, this dot here, up to the back of that, this dot here, is 60 feet. So we'll multiply 55 by 60, gives us 3,300, and we get the thickness here, which is 4 feet thick. Okay, that comes out to be 13,027. Dividing it by 27 for it to be cubic gives us about 490 cubic yards here. All right, so this tells me then that if I add up 664 cubic yards on the front and 490 cubic yards on the lot, whether on the spot where the building is actually going to sit, that gives me 4, 9 and 6 is 15, carry 1, 10, 11. That gives me 1,154 cubic yards of concrete. Okay, if I would definitely mark this up by 5%. So I would do 1154 times 1.05. That would give me 1,200. I would go with 1,200. 1,200 cubic yards. Yeah, I'd go with that. I think 1,200 cubic yards of concrete would cover all of my overages and leave me with nothing short in case, oh, well, we needed this, we needed that. 1,200 cubic yards of concrete, that's final. 1,200 cubic yards. And listen, now let me also say this. The architect made specifications on the concrete. Okay, so the concrete has to be you see, did he put it on here? Probably I have to look on the other sheet, but just so that that's on the site plan. If we get over here and look at the he'll tell you. Here's a description. This right here is a foundation detail. Okay, and as you will see on here on the foundation detail, okay, so what you have, this line across the top, okay, that's the top of the cement. When it's finished, that's the piece you're walking on. This right here, so you got 4-inch minimum here, okay, and then of course you got 1 foot. Now this footing inside of here, this footing, I will tell you this is what. This right here is called a footing. So in other words, to get this, you have a trench. And this footing here translates over into inside the building along this wall, these interior walls. So your walls are footed with a 1-foot trench underneath the cement along the perimeter of the walls, okay? And then along the building outside, you have a 2-foot trench, okay? You have a 2-foot trench outside. So along this wall right here, the perimeter wall of the building itself, all the way up, you have a 2-foot trench. Okay, and that 2-foot trench is what the building itself is going to be sitting on. But this describes the cement that's to be used. 3,000 PSI concrete. Okay, and look, in the blueprints, they'll give you the concrete notes. All concrete work is done in accordance with ACI 301. Okay, and that's the code. That's the part of the building code. Okay, deformed reinforcing steel shall be ASTM. ASTM's American Standards of Measurements. Okay, but look here. I want to show you something. Slump, 4 inches at the point of delivery, tolerance plus or minus 1. What does that mean? It means slump, 4 inches. So when you go to a site and you see those big old cement mixing trucks outside of a work site, the architect has generally drawn into the blueprints the test of that cement. The testing, slumping is a testing. It's where you're going to pour cement into basically a cup, like you got a cup right here. So you'll pour cement into that, and you'll see how that cement falls through that, how it comes through there, it slumps through. So that slump test is a test that is done on site. And you have people that actually come out and test those things, especially if you're building a freeway or a roadway or something. The state's civil engineers will come out and they'll test that cement on site to make sure that it has a slump of 4 inches at the point of delivery. In other words, cement is the kind of thing that at the point of delivery, from the manufacturer to the delivery site, it's the manufacturer's responsibility. Once he releases that thing into your hands, it's your responsibility, contractor. So if it's not done right, once it gets to you, that's on you. Okay? Anyway, so that's what we're using for our concrete. I think that covers us everywhere on the concrete. So we're looking at 1,200 cubic yards of concrete. So we get a price for that number. So that I'm saying that covers us on the concrete. Thank you. This has just been the concrete portion of this particular review of the blueprints for Vault LLC New Auto Garage. Thank you.